As a legendary man once said, it's time for some drifting. Flibby, Wibby, the ultimate. It is time, friends, to get in on some drifting action on this game. Now, I've done a little bit on the Let's Play. Obviously, I had to do it to progress into the completion of the game. But we haven't dove into my findings on the drifting and playing around with it. Now, I bought this Aventador. This has not been upgraded at all. Stock parts all around. And I noticed that unfortunately, there is no diff distribution in here. So you cannot change all-wheel drive cars to rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, whatever. You can't play around with the distribution of it. So in that case, it means that all drift cars are rear-wheel drive. These are the defaults, I think. Let me just reset just to make sure. Yep, these are defaults. Traction control is disabled by default because obviously you want to be able to slide a little bit. Should we actually try let's do some experiment. Traction control on the drift, and it literally just kind of slows you down as you power. But that might actually be a good thing. If you were struggling with hitting walls and stuff, traction control on might actually be a good I figured something out already. If you're struggling by hitting walls, put traction control on. I haven't played around with any of the tuning on drift car before. We've got the anti-roll bars, all this kind of stuff. I mean, there's not going to be much roll in a Lamborghini Aventador, so I don't really think I'm going to have to play with that. The aero distribution, we're not really aiming for speed, so that's not really going to be a matter. Gearbox, how long do we want the gears to last? Do we want the gears to power through or whatever? There's so much in here that's definitely going to be helpful. If you want to slide like an absolute madman, obviously you want to turn traction off, ESP off, slide help all the way off, and tire grip all the way down. But first things first, we need to make it look pretty. Oh, look at that. It matches my wall. Let's jump in with the visual customization. I think I've already customized one of these on, I think I did it on the Crew 1 originally. So the parts I imagine aren't going to be that much different, but I may be wrong because I don't remember anything as meaty as that. I like the extra lights on there, adding on some extra vents on the fenders, changing the wheels. I don't think so, except we need to put red brake calipers because it is a blue Lamborghini and it's staying blue. Carbon wing mirrors. Oh, yes, indeed. Carbon side skirts. I think I remember that. Carbon. Oh, hello. Carbon flaps. But now it's time for the rear wing. Number 1. Number 2. I think I'm actually going to go with number 2. That reminds me of my old version that I had in Perth. I think that's exactly what it was. We had some carbon on the lights here. There's cameras. Adding some more bits onto... Oh, yes. There we go. We got the camera sorted. Yes, the fully carbon back of the car, which I really, really enjoyed. It's a shame that we can't get a combination of this and the other in full carbon. That would be immense. But I think we'll go with this option right here. Put a bit of red on the seats. Not too much red, just a little bit. And, no, how about some carbon? Yes, indeed. All right, visual stage 1 done. We've got ourselves a... That looks ridiculous. I need to change that hood. There we go. That's a little bit nicer. Okay, livery. That's the next stage. Let's have a look at some of the liveries that other people have created. Maybe we can find one that will give us inspiration for one day when I can actually make liveries. It's all bloody Tron liveries. If I see one more... You know what? I found something worse. What are you doing? I've been on here way too long. Let's pick this one. Probably lost all the daylight in the world from that, but let's go with that. Next up is to find a location to do some practice drifting. Any road that has kind of bendy, swervy bits like this is generally a pretty good place to start. Also a racetrack. I haven't been to a racetrack in a while. Pikes Peak. Oh yes, that's actually a really good idea. Because as I said, I want to try having the assist on, the traction control on, as I said. That I think is actually quite helpful. My objective is going to be to stay on the road as much as I possibly can. Let's try the first corner. Hey, wait a second. This is the weirdest tip I've ever given to for anything ever. It turns a little bit slower. It takes a little bit more effort to transition because it's trying to refuse to allow you to do that, but I think traction control on is maybe quite useful. There's another little tip I want to give that works with literally any type of class of car. So you're driving along and you want to turn very, very quickly. Obviously, you can hit the handbrake and you're going to turn quite sharply. But if you want to turn even sharper, NOS and handbrake, and you will go literally sideways. Let's turn off ESP and traction control and slide help and try and get this drifting to be a bit more realistic, because that's definitely going to help with that. Right, here we go. So we got a little bit more play in it. Yeah, we definitely need to do a bit more controlling. You can't just put your foot down and hope for the best now that I've got these settings on. But it makes it a little bit more realistic. It makes it a bit more believable Obviously, a full setup drift car is going to drift well like this as soon as you turn. You don't have to. You shouldn't have to. If it's properly set up, slam on the handbrake and all that kind of stuff, you should just turn into it and power. But this is like ideal world. Sure, that's an F1 car. And oh! See, that's what happens when you try and make me drift properly. I'm still falling. Yep. Well, Pikes Peak is an area that I'm going to vacate and now move over to the Drifty Mountain. They put me in a plane. Oh, it's always a helicopter. For an airspeed challenge. That just means we can switch right here. Dropping down and on the road. Oh, yes, look at that. What I do like about this automatic drifting, because I haven't tried manual drifting yet in this game, is that it holds gears properly. In Need for Speed, I found that to be a problem where it decided to randomly try and shift up and all this kind of stuff. Like, that's not what I want. Please make it stop. Let's reset to default. Downhill drift. Let's get it on. Yeah, traction control definitely actually helps. So honestly, I didn't think I was going to find that fix early on. Let's jump back up to putting it all the way up and do that same corner again. Obviously, I've learned the corner a little bit more now, but oh, it slows you down. See, it holds you in the corner. You hear the car bogging down. That's not just me. I'm accelerating fully. That is weird. That might actually help people get better scores. You can actually still hold your drift, but obviously you probably optimize your drift better if you manage to just learn to drive the car a little bit better, not just aggressively go into the corners at 100 miles an hour expecting to pull off like the sickest drift in the world. If you could try and go completely sideways, that's going to fight with you, as you can see there. But if you go a little bit sideways, it's not really going to fight with that much. Let's turn off ESP, as I said. Let's turn off slide help. Let's turn off front tire grip all the way and rear tire grip all the way. Brake balance and power. Brake balance, I want it kind of in the middle. That's probably a good setup as is. And body roll, I mean, let's get rid of a little bit, but it doesn't really matter so much. I am now just slide. I'm trying to turn. This has just got no grip whatsoever. We've removed all grip. Remember we did the Hummer video? It's going to be a similar situation. I can't even get up to speed. But hey, this is just the most extreme option that we're playing. I wanted to do this as a stream at some point. I think I might start experimenting with the cars on streams or something. But it might be a good way if you want to extend drifts, remove some of the tire grip. That's a very good way to do it. If your car, for example, that's actually a brilliant idea. Let us attempt to try and counter the traction control thing, as I was saying. So reset it all the way. Traction control, I'm going to keep it all the way up. And then I'm going to keep everything else as normal. But then tire grip, which was the default about here, if I bring it down just a little bit, let's say about there, maybe we get a bit more play, but also the help. Oh, hang on a moment. So we've now got traction control forcing us to try and stop. It's trying to help. But because of the tires, we're now keeping on sliding. We just have a little bit more time to... I'm just messing this car up. That's what I'm doing. So all we've really done is made it try and force us to slow down massively, but we're just still sliding, and it just means we can get more points, carrying getting more points, but it means we have to just stop earlier and think a bit more earlier. So we've pretty much made a middle ground. If this is something you want yourself, go for it. But I honestly think they honestly have a pretty darn good setup as is. Maybe a little bit though of traction control will go a long way, because I remember on the early stages of drifting on Assetto Corsa, a lot of people recommend, I think it's ESP or traction control, they recommend putting on a little bit of that, not all the way. And I remember in some other games as well, putting a little bit on helped out. And the corner, it's bogging down. You can tell I was fully accelerating through that corner, but it managed to just hold it a little bit for me. So I've pretty much figured out that with the right settings, you can give yourself a nice stable drift that's going to give you a decent amount of points, but also stop you from destroying yourself. There's one test left for it, and that is doing a proper drift event. This thing is stock. I've done better on these events, I imagine. Let's do an event that I kind of remember. The charity drift event is a good one, and I know for a fact that if I go on the C leaderboard, my friends, I'm going to try and see where I get on the leaderboard. Some of them, Fergus, for example, will have some pretty darn good scores. So I'm going to try and beat at least Corey with this, because that was a decent score. That was me trying with my RX-7. Now I've got these assists on. Let's play around. Let us begin. 10,000 points is the recommended. Yeah, I need a little bit more than that. Now, the problem with drift events, as you probably know, is when you hit anything, including objects that other people that you're playing with hit out into the road, including objects that are just little things like telephone poles at the side of the road, bins. That's where the issues arise. But if you can hold off the drift a little bit sometimes, which is what that little tiny blip of traction control is managing to let me do, I can pull out of a drift a little bit easier if I need to. Honestly, I feel like this should have been almost the default, in where it's the baby settings. That's pretty much what we're figuring out. This is what you want to be doing yourself. This is what the game hopes that you would be doing by yourself. But I'm managing to do it just by tuning the car and playing around with it. I think I may have found my new way to cheat on my drift scores a little bit. I haven't played much of this drift event. I mean, drifting for me is not my... Corey! You have been destroyed, my friend. The objective is being complete. I think this has been a nice little demonstration of how tuning can massively affect a car. I want to do this with a whole bunch more cars. Again, we didn't even really play around with the tuning of that whole much compared to what we could have done. We could have done a whole lot more. But if you want some nice stability in the drifting, if you're struggling with the drifting a little bit, put a little bit of traction control. I tapped a wall and I didn't lose my score. I did that time. Of course, I would do a million times better if I wasn't trying to commentate at the same time, because it's a very difficult thing to do, if I'm honest. And we're going to go for it. We're just going to hit the wall. Finish the score with about almost 90,000 points. 89,000 to be specific, which was definitely higher than what my objective was during this run. Give me my bits, please. Thank you very much. Like, sure, you could have got that score by using no performance tuning whatsoever. You could have just, you know, done it properly. Why are you doing all this? But I guess one thing I would say is ESP off, traction control a little bit up if you're struggling, but play around with the tuning stuff. If you want your car to slide more than it does sideways, tire grip down. The tuning is here for a reason. I also realized I didn't have the anti-roll bars locked up all. I actually would like a little bit more play in the anti-roll bars. And I do feel like I want a little bit of slide help down. I do feel that slide help off is a more fun experience. Slide help on, it makes it a little bit more accessible, and that's why it's on there by default. But I think that a nice midway point would be a good way to get that balance of a little bit more realism, but at the same time, hello friend, at the same time, it wouldn't be the most annoying, like, spinning out every corner. That's feeling pretty sweet. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I like making these videos on the tuning and stuff. We made one on the Hummer, and after that I just felt I want to try and make one with the drifting, play with the drifting, see what I can get done. Higher speed drifts, ignore this video. If you're a master of it, congratulations. But if you're like me and you're not very good, the settings may help you. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to smash like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you in the next video, in where you guys can let me know what do you want to see us play around and tune. Until next time, peace.